In this presentation, we're going to discuss payroll options within QuickBooks Online. Here we are in our Get Great Guitars file. To discuss the payroll options, first we want to take a look at some reports. So we're going to go down to the reports on the left-hand side. We're going to be opening up our favorite report, that being the balance sheet report. So we're going to be opening up the balance sheet report. We're going to scroll back up top. We're going to be changing those dates up top from 01/01/20 to 12/31/20. And then I'm going to go ahead and run that report. So January through December 2020. This is the information we have thus far in here. I'm going to duplicate this report by right-clicking on the tab up top. So I'm on the tab up top. Then I'm going to right-click on it. And then I'm going to duplicate it. So now we're going to have our report to the right. Any other data or information we want to be dealing with on the left side tab. Then within the balance sheet report tab, I'm going to close up that hamburger. And then we're going to hold down Control and scroll up a couple times to get to the 125. Now we've been entering the beginning balances here. At this point, I want to mention the payroll information because it could be the case that if you're looking at the beginning balances from your prior accounting system, that you have something in like payroll liabilities or something like that that's on your balance sheet. And before you enter anything related to payroll, you want to consider what you're going to be doing with payroll. How are you going to set up payroll? So just want to consider that at this point in time. Now, there's a lot of different options for payroll. We'll talk more about how to do payroll within QuickBooks in basically a subsequent portion of the course, because we don't want to have the added payroll feature here because it'll add cost to practice with payroll. And we want to keep this portion of it just as a flat QuickBooks Online here. But it's a good point in time that we can think about the different options, because if you're going to put something on the books as like a liability or something for the beginning balances, then again, you want to understand basically how you're going to be dealing with payroll. So if you're putting something on the books related to payroll, right? So a couple options that you can have. You can run payroll within QuickBooks, and there's different options to that. Now, it costs more to do that. You don't really want to try to run payroll without any support, right? You're gonna want to have QuickBooks, pay for QuickBooks basically support features to help you to generate the reports and all that kind of stuff, but that's an added cost. Or you can have other third parties, people help you with the payroll. So you could, some big third party payroll are like ADP is a payroll company, and so is Paychex, and they basically specialize in payroll and human resources type of information. So many small to mid-sized companies actually use, outsourced payroll because it's kind of a specialized type of area. So you want to consider those options as you're thinking about how are you going to be dealing with payroll. And if you do these outside options, which we're going to kind of imagine we're going to be doing in our practice problem, because we want to see payroll, but again, I don't want to pay for payroll in this practice problem. We'll talk about it after this practice problem, where we'll concentrate just on, the payroll portion. And we have a whole course in and of itself on payroll that if you want more information on the payroll. But if it was done by these outside companies, even if that was the case, we would still need to get just the financial data into our reports. So if it's done by these outside companies, in other words, we could take the reports that they provide, and we don't need possibly all the detail for every single check in our QuickBooks system, possibly, because we'll have that done by ADP and Paychex. But we do need to enter the overall payroll information, the expense and the liabilities, into our system in some way, shape, or form. So we'll consider that in the future. If you're running payroll within QuickBooks, and again, we'll take a look at practice problems after this, core practice problem specific to payroll, then you're going to want to make sure that you have everything set up properly within payroll, because it's going to help you to calculate certain things, and you don't want to journal entry something into like a payroll expense or payroll liability. You want to make sure that you're putting it in there properly. Now, also note that if you're dealing with payroll, it's far easier to start the payroll at the beginning of the year, and so you don't really want to be like starting payroll in the middle of the year if you don't have to into a new accounting system. You'd rather be doing that from the day one of the year in the accounting system and then go forward. Or at the very least, you'd also like to start on the same quarter, like, because payroll's broken out into quarters. So if you can't switch systems at the beginning of the year, then at least try to switch at the end of the quarter, rather than the middle of the quarter. And if you can't do that, at least at the end of the month, right? But far better to start payroll, at the beginning of the year and run it on one system for an entire year. Switching in the middle of the year can be a little tricky. Okay, so then if I go back to the first tab, then and consider the payroll options. So if we go down to workers down here, we go into workers, and we have the employee and contractors up top. Now, contractors are people you pay with, basically, you just pay them and you record it, and you have to basically report 1099s, possibly, depending on the type of contractor that you're dealing with. So that's fairly straightforward if someone is a contractor. If someone is an employee, however, then, of course, we have to deal with the W-2 reporting, the withholdings, the payroll taxes, employer and employee payroll taxes, and so on and so forth. So the payroll options, you can go through here and remember that it's an add-on feature for the payroll options. It costs more for the to get the payroll options. You pretty much have to have some type of support to do payroll property. You don't really want to be tracking payroll withholdings and doing quarterly payroll reports without typically some kind of support. So if you were to say, okay, I'm going to look into the support options for payroll, here's some information on the support options, where it says conquer payroll and beyond with complete confidence. Get payroll that fits your business with the #1 payroll provider. So, and then we have the different options that they have here, the 3 basic options that they have. They've got the core, our simple solutions for reliable automated payroll. This is the auto payroll, next day direct deposit, and then they have the premium, our automated payroll solution with integrated time tracking and tools that help you grow. This is the premium time tracking, same day direct deposit, and export setup review. So they have so they're giving you more support on like a review process here. And then the Elite, which is new, automated payroll backed up by our guarantee with certified HR support to protect your business. So that's tax penalty free guarantee. So they're going to help you with the payroll taxes, which is basically you got to file quarterly 941s, you got to file the yearly FUTA tax, the 940, and then whatever the state requirements are going to be on top of that. Elite time tracking, personal HR advisor, and Elite product support. So this will basically be, more of the full service basic support on the Elite side of things. Then we got more detail on the features down below. Automated tax. So the core features, we got the automated tax and forms. So it does help you to automate and make the forms, the 941s and the 940, which is, that's necessary for the most part. You're going to probably want that. Then calculated employee paychecks, including federal and state taxes. So it's going to help you with the data input on the payroll checks. And then we have the auto payroll, and then the health benefits for your team, expert product support, and next day direct deposit. And they're saying here from $45 to $22 a month. So you can check the pricing on it at the time that you take a look at it. This is what's at this point in time. And then the premium, the most popular, automated tax and forms, calculated employee paychecks, including federal and state taxes, auto payroll, health benefits, expert product support, and then same-day direct deposit, expert setup review, and then we have the grant user permission, HR support, premium time, and then the Elite has the automated pay and forms. These are the same. Auto pay, these are the same. Elite onboarding done for you. Elite time tracking with georeferencing and project planning, tax penalty-free guarantee, which is probably, their big item there. Elite product support, US-based, and the personal HR advisor. And again, as you set up the payroll, it probably is worth, contacting and talking over the payroll process that you're having as you start the payroll process, whether it be with QuickBooks or some other advisor. You may even want to, check with a CPA that you don't plan, your tax professional or accountant or CPA that you don't plan on doing your payroll, so that they can just give you advice that they're not benefiting from. You're just paying them for their advice, so they're not biased. And then take that advice and talk to QuickBooks, and possibly then consider other options such as a third-party provider as well.